Okay, welcome to my YouTube channel. It is that time of the year again. IB exam is about 2 months. So it's time to do last year's past paper. Hope it would help you as a final preparation. But obviously, before watching the video, it's highly recommended that you try the paper, time it, give yourself an hour and 30 minutes, and then see if you get your predicted score or like the grade that you hope you get. Alright, I know it's a little bit difficult to get the paper. IB doesn't allow pretty much anyone to distribute the papers. So the worst way would be you have to take screenshot from my video. So let me show the video. So let me show the question one by one. So I hope you don't have to watch my solution. This is question 7, question 8, question 9. That's it. So if you really cannot find the paper, you can now do it with the screenshots. And I think I'll do it in the same way. So this video would only be section A. Section B would be the next video. But you can first do the whole paper. You're going to go 1 hour 30 minutes, then come back. Okay, so we'll start 2021. This is Math AA. I believe AA is the one that more people are doing. So I'll probably not do AI for the moment. But if you want, comment below if you are looking for that. Okay, times on 1, paper 1. Let's go. So paper 1 have no calculator for AA. So we have some function. Write down the value of f2. So remember fy equal to fx. Alright, so f2 means when x is 2, what's the value of y? So when x is 2, we go up here, we get 6, so f2 is 6. Alright. Second was f circle f2. So remember the meaning of circle, composite function. So it means f of 2. But we already knew f of 2 is 6. So this inside thing is 6. So we now have f of 6. And then again, the meaning of f of 6 would be what's the value of y when x is 6. So you see if x is 6, the value of y is negative 2. So the answer is negative 2. Okay, part B, a transformation. We're supposed to draw the graph of g on the above graph. So I should erase all these working out. What are we going to draw? We have multiplying a half in front. So that's a vertical compress of scale factor 2. And then adding 1 at the end of the function. So that would be translating upward by 1 unit. And if you know doing it in different order would make a difference. And the correct order would be you do the half first and then add 1. Alright, so to do the vertical compress, you basically halve every y coordinate. Alright, so for example, this was 4. The y coordinate here was 4. Half of 4 is 2. So this whole line becomes 2. And this top point was 6. Half of 6 is 3. And then the key is x-intercept would not move because x-intercept have y coordinate 0. The 0 divided by 2 is still 0. So the graph basically look like this. Okay, when I'm editing, I realize I forgot to shift the graph up by 1 after I do the vertical compress. Alright, so you need to shift up by 1. Shift everything up by 1. So this becomes 1, this becomes half. Okay, silly me. Alright, so erase that. This red one is the correct answer. question 2. This is kind of this is actually a new thing in the syllabus, standard form. But I mean, it's so basic. I didn't even cover this in my full course. By the way, if you want my full course, you can go to Udemy. Teach you everything there. But I don't know if you want to be doing a full course when exam is so close. But if you really need it, you can get it. Alright, it says the diameter is this. What is the radius? So we know radius is half of a diameter. So it's half times 6 times 10 to the power 4. And so you can multiply the half with the 6. Alright, for multiplication, you only need to multiply one of them. So technically you can choose to multiply the half with the 6 or multiply the half with 10 to the power 4. But obviously multiplying by 6 is easier. Alright, so this is not expanding, so we don't multiply both. Alright, so we multiply only the 6, so it becomes 3. Okay, in case you want to know, expanding would need a plus in the middle. If it's a plus, then you would expand, you multiply both. But since this is only multiplication, it doesn't matter which number you multiply. You only multiply once. Then we have we're required to find the volume, where the volume is a sphere. So you need to go to the formula booklet and look for the formula for the volume of a sphere, which is, I believe, 4 over 3 pi r cubed. So it's 4 over 3 times pi times the radius, which is this. So it's 3 times 10 to the power 4 to the power 3. You're supposed to give your answer as pi times something else. So the pi, you just put it in front. Then 4 over 3 times. So I guess this is kind of under the topic of exponents of law indices. Alright, so for power, you actually distribute. So you power both by power 3. 3 to the power 3. So 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And we have 10 to the power 4 to the power 3. So this is one of the law of indices. A to the power of m to the power of n is a to the power of m times n. So you multiply the powers. So this is 12. So we know power of 3 times 27 is like 27 over 1. So the bottom stuff can cancel out the top stuff. And 4 times 9 is 36. Okay. But again, this is what you should know for standard form. For standard form, the number here should be between 1 to 10, which the question kind of told you. Right. So what you have to do is you change the 36 into 3.6. But that means at the same time, you have to increase 10 to the power of 12 by 1 more power. Alright, you can imagine this because the 36 got smaller by 10 times. So in order for they to be the same, still to be equal to each other, the 10 have to increase by a factor of 10. Alright. We have question 3, a sequence question. The 8th term and the sum to the 8th term are both 8. Find U1 and find D. So this is where you simply apply the formulas. So we have the UN formula, which you can check in the formula booklet. U1 plus, it's arithmetic, so U1 plus n minus 1D. Alright, we are given U8, so that means U8 would be U1 plus 8 minus 1D, so 7D. But they told us that U8 is 8, alright, so this is equal to 8. Then we have Sn, so if you look in the formula booklet, the formula, so there are two versions, and since you're looking for the common difference, you want the one that actually have the common difference in it. So it will be this one. So S8, so we sub in n to be 8. All right, so this is 8 over 2, so it's 4. 2u plus this n is also 8, 7d. Well, the question tells you S8 is also 8, so this whole thing equal to 8. All right. Then it's just a matter of solving the simultaneous equation, two equations, two unknowns. You would divide it all away. So the second equation becomes 2u1 plus 7d equals to 2. Then the first equation is u1 plus 7d equal to 8. All right, we already have 7d and 7d, so we can subtract the top equation by the second equation. So we have the top minus the bottom. So u1 minus 2u1, that's minus u1. 7d minus 7d, that's gone, so d is gone. That's why this method works. 8 minus 2 is 6, so u1 is negative 6. And once we found u1, we can put it back in. You can put it into either equation. So let's say the first one, negative 6 plus 7d is 8. So you move it here, 14. There's 2. Okay? So good, not too hard. Okay, question 4. Like a boss and whisker diagram question. So first, you really need to know this is the minimum of the whole data set. Lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and maximum. Okay. So interquartile range is 20. Interquartile range would be the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. But it seems like we don't know any of them, so we can't do part A using that. Alright, but the second information would be there is no outlier. So remember the meaning of outlier. If a data is even bigger than Q3, which is the upper quartile, plus 1.5 times the interquartile range, then that's an outlier. Alright. Or if a data is less than Q1 minus 1.5 interquartile range, then that's also an outlier. Alright, but the question is about U, so it seems like we'll be using Q3 because U is Q3. So we know if a data is bigger than U, which is Q3, plus 1.5 times the interquartile range, which is 20. Alright, that would be an outlier. But you can see that 75 is the biggest data, while 75 is not an outlier. Okay, what that means is 75 must be less than this, or equal. It could just be just that value. Okay, then 75 would not be an outlier, right? Because have 75 been bigger than this, then 75 would be an outlier. So we just solve this. 1.5 times 20, that's 30. Take it away, 45. So that means U must at least be 45. Alright, so the minimum value of U is 45. Okay, then for part B, now we can find L, which is the lower quartile in the question. Then we'll probably use this, because if U is taking the lowest value, the upper quartile is taking the lowest value, then, sorry, the upper quartile is taking the lowest value, then the lower quartile is also taking the lowest value, because the difference have to be 20 for the interquartile range to be 20. So L is 25. Okay. We're getting into harder question territory. It's getting a bit more complicated. Question 5, they give you a function, an fx, and they want to find the derivative. Okay, prime is derivative, don't mix that up with inverse. Inverse is -1. So we have to differentiate this. Now you could expand the square first before you differentiate, or you can just use chain rule. So I'll just use chain rule. The negative in front stay there, doesn't do anything. And then the power 2 drop to the front. And -1 to the power, so power 1, which you don't have to write anything. And then you're supposed to times the differentiation of the inside. But if you differentiate x, you get 1. If you differentiate h though, since h is a constant, so h is just like a number. If you differentiate a number, you get 0. Okay, and then plus differentiate 2k. Similarly, k is a number, so 2k is also a number. If you differentiate that, you also get 0. Okay, so the derivative is -2x minus h. And then it tells you that f and g has a common tangent when x is 3. So what I mean could be a bit difficult for you to imagine. What it really means is, first of all, the two functions, the f and g, have to be basically touching each other at 3. Right, so you can imagine g maybe look like this. This is g. And f maybe look like this. Okay, sort of, okay. And then maybe this is 3. And so if we draw the tangent to both curves, if we draw the tangent to f and you draw the tangent to g, it happens to be exactly the same line. Alright, that's the meaning of a common tangent. Okay, what I mean is the tangent would pass through this same point and also have the same gradient. So if you understand this, you can probably guess that part B and C, one of them would be because of the gradient, so you get one of the result. The other would be because they pass through this point, this same point when x is 3. Alright, that would be how you do it. It's difficult for me to guess if B is about the gradient of C. But we've just done part A, which is differentiation, which is about the gradient, so probably part B is about the gradient. So we should get the gradient of G as well. We should differentiate that. 2. Differentiate E is just E. And then chain rule as well. You times differentiate the inside. Differentiate X is 1. And then differentiate 2 is 0. So times 1 again. Plus 0 again for differentiating K. And so the gradient of the tangent to F when x is 3 would be you put 3 into x. Okay, you have to put 3 into x of the derivative to actually get the gradient. The same thing as g. And they should be the same, because it's a common tangent, right? So they have the same gradient. Does it look like what they have? Maybe we expand this, so it's -6 plus 2h equals to e, because 3 minus 2 is 1. So we make x the subject, so we move the 6 to the right, and then divide. Oh, we got it. Okay, very nice. And C should be easy. It's the fact that the y coordinates are also the same when x is 3. That means we sub x into each of the function. Alright, I can't see the function anymore. -3 minus x squared plus 2k would be the same as
e3 minus 2 plus k. Oh, should I put x in and expand? Probably. So 3 minus x is e plus 6 over 2. And you subtract the k, so 2k minus k is just k, equal to e. And then we'll expand this bracket. Well, actually, we should get a common denominator first, so over 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So here's what you need to be careful of. If you minus a fraction, then you really want to distribute this minus to everything in the fraction. So it's minus e minus 6 squared plus k. So 6 minus 6 is 0, so we have negative e over 2 squared plus k. Okay, not much to expand after all. So we square that, so it's negative. A negative squared will be positive, and then e squared over 4. You square the top, square the bottom. Then we have negative e squared over 4 plus k equal to 0, equal to e. We want k to be the subject, so we just move this to the right. We got it. Right, so this is a bit tricky, but if you understand the meaning of common tangent, then just by randomly doing whatever you can, then you should get it. And this one is also quite an difficult question. So part A asks you to prove that this equal to this, so the left hand side equal to the right hand side. Okay, so we'll start with the left hand side. So this is obviously using double angle formula because the left hand side are 2x, the right hand side only x. Alright, so sine 2x, double angle formula in the formula booklet. Nothing special there. So the special thing should be the second one, because we know cosine 2x have 3 choice. It could be cosine square x minus sine square x, or 2 cosine square x minus 1, or 1 minus 2 sine square x. So how do we choose which one, right? There are 2 different ways for you to know. One way would be you look at the right hand side, so you could have expand this. Then you would probably see that which one to choose. Another way, a more technical way, would be looking at this minus 1. It should be quite obvious that you want to cancel this minus 1. So you want to choose the form that has a 1 for you to cancel that minus 1. So that would be this one. Alright, because on the other hand, if you choose this, you have minus 1, minus 1. So you have minus 2. Alright, that's probably not so good, because you can see there's no number on the right. Alright, so we will choose the third one for the cosine 2x. So it's 1 minus 2 sine square x minus 1. So again, this 1 and minus 1 cancel out. So we have 2 sine x cosine x minus 2 sine square x. This is where we factorize. We take out the 2, take out the sine x, which are common. So for the first term, what's left is cosine x. For the second term, what's left is a sine x. So that's what they want. Okay. Then B. So obviously we should do hands a little bit. We should be able to use part A. So that seems to be this part. So we'll substitute the right hand side into there. Right, so we have 2 sine x cosine x minus sine x plus that. equal to 0. Then next, you need to notice that this is cosine x minus sin x. This is also cosine x minus sin x. Alright, if you want, you can even bracket it. Alright, then now you realize these two factors are the same, so you can factor that out. So this is also a factorizing. You take out cosine x minus sin x, you take out the whole bracket. So in the first term, this is the whole first term. The only thing left is 2 sin x, and then plus. This is the second term, but you have to take out the whole bracket, so nothing is left. When you're factorizing, if nothing is left, then you have 1. Alright, then we have two things multiplied together to be 0, which means the first thing is 0, or the second thing is 0. Then we will solve them one by one. The right hand side should be easier, so we minus the 1, divide the 2. So we have sin x equal to negative half. This is where one of the special angle is useful. So we know, well, I mean, you should know, you should memorize this. Sine 30 is half. And then we'll use cast diagram, right? This is a cast diagram. That means the reference angle for this is 30, because sine 30 is half. But we want negative half. We want a negative. So you want to go to quadrants where sine is negative. So you see, S would mean sine is positive. So you go to the other two. And then you should memorize the angle for the other two quadrants. Those are 180 plus and 360 minus. Alright, if you don't know about cast diagram, you can look for my YouTube lecture. I put the whole lecture for free here. But anyhow, that means x is 180 plus 30, or 360 minus 30. So it's 210 and 330. And for this, we want cosine x to equal to sin x. So this one, if you have seen before, you would probably memorize. Whenever you have sine equal to cosine, you divide both sides by cosine. Cosine over cosine is 1. Sine over cosine is tangent. Then again, it's a matter of memorizing. Tangent 45 is 1. And then cos. Now this time this is positive 1, so we go to the quadrant where tangent is positive. So that's the T quadrant. So it's 180 plus. So, or 180 plus 45. Okay, and then you should look at the range. This time is 0 to 2 pi's. 2 pi is 260, so we get all the answers. But we should change our answers to radian. So if you know to change from degree to radian, you multiply by pi over 180. And then you try to simplify 45 over 180. Alright, so you can like do it like a fraction, right? They're both divisible by 5, and so on and so forth. Okay, it's good to do the practice, but this would be power of 4. Then 2 to 5 will be, if you do the simplification, would be 5 pi over 4. Oh, 210 will be 7 pi over 6, right? Because 210 over 180 is 7 over 6. And then 330. So let me do this one. Show you how to do this. So cancel the 0. Then you cancel by 3. So it's 11, 6. So it's 11 pi over 6. Okay. So you should definitely practice this. If you're not still perfect, for converting. But that would be the end of section A.